What's your impression of this show?
Well, the impression of the show is important to me in the sense that my organization, the Black Panther Party, had a basic agreed upon working coalition relationship with AIM, American Indian Movement, you know. But more importantly, even though I was in jail when the coalition evolved, you know, in my early days as a young man, I identified with Native Americans, you know, particularly and specifically with the Lakota Nation, you know. And I'm talking 15 years of age, 16 years of age, before I even knew any African American real history. There was no African American history being taught at all when I was 15 years of age. I'm talking about 1951, 52. I'm 71 now, you see. So I had identified with Sitting Bull, Chief Gall, Crazy Horse with the Oglala ethnic group. I'm just saying that was me as a young man. I mean, and I call myself rejecting the gangs in the community. Port Neches Village, I rejected those gangs. So when I walk through here and I see the bust of Sitting Bull, you know, that's important to me. And there's other pieces here. I was really impressed with that piece, that photography piece back there, that photography piece that the photographer took with Kathleen Cleaver back here when there's a rally, at a rally, not to extradite Dennis Banks, you know. But you know, the whole history. So my first really early life study of history of a people's struggle, you know what I mean, was Native Americans in the first place. So it evolved that I went to the United States Air Force and I became honor student in tech school. Well, they had all the, and I was the top student in my particular class. That means you get the first choice of whatever Air Force base you want to go to, okay? So you have to imagine this. They had bases in Ohio, North Carolina, Hawaii, Japan, etc. And then coming down the line, I saw Rapid City, South Dakota. Whoa, I knew that was the land of the Lakota, near the Black Hills, etc. And I literally chose that. So one of the other GIs says, "What you doing there?" I said, "I'm going up here to the land of Lakota." I was trying to go to get to the land of Lakota when I was 16 years of age. When I hopped freight trains and then got caught in the freight yard and arrested, you know, 115, 20 miles from Roseville, from Oakland, California, and then overnight we didn't make it. Then we tried to take off on bicycles at one time, but it was hard trying to cross the High Sierras, you know what I mean, on bicycles. So we came back, and then one day I was going to get there. So it so happened, my friend, Steve, you know, he went into the Army. They wouldn't take me and they rejected me, and then I went in the Air Force. I had this left crippled foot. But my point is, I had a history of personal identification with Native Americans' history of struggle in this country, in the sense that, you know, the crazy ass skies, as we call them, the white man, had screwed up everything, and that was my first understanding. But it would be years later that I would do 4 years in the Air Force, get kicked out of the United States Air Force after 3 years, 10 months, and 11 days. After being an honor student in all tech schools, etc., blah, 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 getting B-52 bombers off the ground at Ellsworth Air Force Base, near Rapid City, South Dakota, so on, that I would evolve to a point you know, quitting my engineering job on the Gemini missile program to work in the grassroots African American community and beginning to learn the real African American history of struggle. So what preceded that was my history and my identification with Native American brothers and sisters struggle. So, and you asked me how am I impressed with this. I'm very well impressed with the American Indian movement. I mean, when we got kicked off in the 1960s, middle of the 1960s, it was a time, you know, in our coalition politics, which was a policy and a practice that the Black Panther Party was about, because we cross ethnic lines and we cross racial lines and we cross organizational lines to forge coalitions with other liberation struggles, human liberation struggles, you know what I mean? So that's where we went. So, of course, we wound up, when I organized 5,000 Black Panther Party members in 49 chapters and branches all across the United States of America and cities across the United States of America. We also forged coalitions with all organizational frameworks, including AIM. You know, face-to-face working coalition relationships, because we were talking about all power to all the people as opposed to the power of the racists who control the government, and you know, they make racist policies and oppressive policies. You know, the 1960s protest movement era was a high tide, and on many different levels, from Native Americans and Wounded Knee and others, all the way back, Black Panther Party, Young Lords, young Puerto Rican brothers, young Chicano Mexican American brothers and sisters, the Brown Berets, the Asian brothers and sisters, you know, the Red Guard and others that we had coalitions with. We were all part and parcel in one way, shape, fashion, form, or another, you know. And we were part of that high tide of protest movement. So we're sort of on a low tide at this period. And, you know, high tides and low tides pass through generations, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm looking for anything that's progressive, that, when I say progressive, legislation and policies that forward human liberation efforts, that's what I define as progressive, okay? I know Obama hasn't said much about that. I mean, I remember we got more out of Clinton in terms of supporting Native Americans than we get in president out of Obama. And I'm trying to hope that he moves that way, you know what I mean, to understand that, you know. So, I mean, it's just a hard, long struggle. I mean, I put 12 years direct in the field, 8 years in the Black Panther Party, organizing that early struggle, you know, 2 years in jail, a political prisoner, you know, and then we got others who've been political prisoners for many, many years, you know, Native Americans, and then we did get Elmer Geronimo Pratt out after 26 years. I still have 10 political prisoners from the old Black Panther Party days, you know, and I'm just saying that we need amnesty for our political prisoners. We need legislations and policies that help empower people more so. This is what's important. And the avaricious corporate money rich and others, you know, who are about ripping off everything from gold in the Amazons to whatever other resources that various people have in various ethnic groups, and particularly the Native Americans, you know what I mean? Policies that really empower people. You know, that means legislation that empowers people. How do we get that? You know, not only from a president, but legislative bodies. You know, that's important. And that's all part of the human revolution. A revolution. When I say revolution, I'm talking about the need to re-evolve more political, economic, and social justice empowerment back into the hands of the people. You know, to grassroots locales of peoples, you know, from ethnic to community, what have you. That's important, and that's what it's got to be about. Right. My website has been up in pieces. I'm still always doing work since 1991, 92. I've built probably 10 computer systems. I'm an old high-tech person, you know what I mean, from years ago, you know. So I'm still developing it. I mean, I got a book I'm trying to put out about us third world organizational groups from the 1960s protest movement. We're trying to pull that together, big graphics, photograph, posters, and art work, you know, but I'm trying to do a large narrative of that, and that's going to be a big book, you know, a big thick one. I got a documentary I'm trying to do on the rise and decline of the Black Panther Party that I was just talking with one of the other people who photographing this whole AIM presentation here, and Spielberg and them was getting ready to rip my life story rights off for the great Chicago 8. Well, they're going to call it the Chicago 7 conspiracy trial. I was the 8th defendant who cussed the judge out for 7 weeks because he violated my Sixth Amendment constitutional rights in 1969 in the great Chicago 8 conspiracy trial, and then he severed me. First he chain shackled and gagged me for 3 days in the courtroom, etc. Spielberg is doing a movie there. Guess who he got playing me? At least on the internet, Will Smith's supposed to play Bobby Seale. Kevin Spacey is supposed to be one of the lawyers, so, you know, he's the premier movie maker in America with his DreamWorks company, you know. That's
Will Smith is the
and Will Smith is the box office draws at this particular time, right? And they have not contacted me. It looks like they're not even going to consult me for the film. And then he's going to write some fiction, probably doing something that I had nothing to do with.